Alright guys, I'm here with another guide for Formidable Foes, and this time it's gonna be on the Kyoto school. Now, this stage is not particularly hard, but I guess what makes it more difficult than it really is more the fact that all of the enemy in this stage is weak against yellow, which also means they're actually strong against blue. So but that basically means I know a lot of people are using Gojo as their kind of main damage dealer. Gojo is going to have reduced damage against all of those enemies here, and that's kind of what makes this stage, I guess, a bit more difficult than some of. I mean, nowhere near as difficult as Jogo for sure, but it's a bit more difficult than the other two Formidable Foe stages. Okay, now the reward you're gonna get when you actually clear this is this recollection. Now, this recollection is somewhat average in terms of its active skill. So basically, the active skill is just draw attack to itself for 2 times, and also a bit of damage decrease. Now, if you just want to draw the enemy attacks to you, in all honesty, there are some, I think, either SR or R recollection which are already able to do it. So it's not that much difference between that. But what makes this, I guess, slightly stand out is the additional effect that's able to reduce damage taken for 29%. So you are potentially able to sustain the damage a bit better. And also, once you dupe it, you can also reduce damage for your other allies, which is actually very handy for that effect. And remember, just by beating the first stage, even if you don't 3-star clear it, you can already get 1 copy of this. And if you do actually happen to, sorry, you have to keep an eye on our symbol. So basically, if you clear this last part, if you take a look, the symbol is the same. If you can clear this quest within 8 turns, then you are able to get the dupe for it. So basically, just by clearing the stage within 8 turns, even if you are not able to satisfy the other two criteria, so you will be able to actually dupe this to +1 in order to get this fairly nice additional ability to do damage reduction for your whole team. So that's kind of worth it for that perspective. But yeah, the active skill is pretty average to be honest. Now, in terms of criteria you need to do, no character was drawn as a fairly standard one. Clear the quest within 8 turns. If you're using Gojo, which is gonna be the gameplay I'm gonna show you later, you are kind of finishing that within 8 turns anyway, because Gojo will disappear by turn 7. Now, the only potentially slightly tricky one is that you need to use Saki Rindo and also Kaito Yuki in your team. Now, Saki Rindo is an average character. However, Kaito is a really, really good character. So what you can actually simply do is you can just have Kaito in your main team, and then you simply put Saki in your reserve team, and that will be sufficient for you to actually beat the stage. Okay, so that's basically what you want to do in order to actually fulfill all three of the criteria of this. Okay, now let's take a look at the actual gameplay of when I actually beat the stage. So there's 3 different enemies on the stage. They function in, I think, the exact same way as the actual characters if you have them, right? If you actually play them. So you can take a look at their skills for those characters just to understand what they do. They all have like a bit of quirks or additional effect to whatever they do, right? So for Mai, I think she has the ability to stealth herself, so you want to pay attention when you can attack her. Miwa is able to counterattack when you use like melee attack, so you want to pay attention into the type of attack you are using on her. Mekamaru, I don't think he does anything special other than like a really strong AoE attack, which can be potentially be deadly. So you also want to account for that. All right. Now, in terms of team lineup, like I said, you want Kaito and also Sakirindo on your team just to get 3-star criteria all fulfilled. The team I'm going to use is just my standard team that I use for pretty much all of the content, which is 2 buffers and then uh, Kaito to use as a battery to continue charge them up so that you can actually use the buff every single turn and then stack them up. And then obviously you have Gojo as my main DPS. The level requirement is not ridiculously high, so and I think you can clear this a lot quicker. I just haven't bothered trying because I was mainly focusing on the story mode, but I'm pretty sure you can beat this a lot earlier than the actual levels I have here. Okay, now let's actually take a look at turn by turn what you want to do. So the thing with this is pretty much the standard strategy, you want to use buff every single turn on your buffers, and then Kaito will be buffing up to give everyone curse energy. As usual, for the first turn Gojo, you want to buff up so you can do a bit more damage on the second turn when you have all other buffs also stacked. Miwa does a counter attack, and then they do their attack, etc. Now, what I decided to do is increase the ultimate skill gauge. I don't actually know whether it's a massive game breaker, but that's basically how I played it. And I decided to target Mai first. Purely the reason why I target Mai is because Mai have the lowest skill gauge that she need to be building up. So basically, the idea here is that if you basically, if you don't take Mai out or break Mai within 3 turns, then on turn 4, Mai will be able to use her ultimate skill, which is going to be deadly. And same thing for Miwa, if you don't take her out by turn 4, then on turn 5, will be able to do it. And the Nakamura, who have much longer ultimate skill gauge. And as a result, you want to focus on the one with the shorter one just to kind of interrupt their flow of attack. So that's kind of why I chose Mai as my first point of attack. And the second turn is going to be the same thing with all of the buffer, etc. And then obviously I will still be concentrating on Mai, trying to actually break her. So here I think I was just debating on whether it's enough to break her, whether I need to actually use my recollection effect, etc. I decided not to use it and it was enough anyway. So this is basically what I've done. I already broke Mai, and basically now she will be stuck in this stage and therefore she won't be able to use her ultimate skill even if she actually was ready. Alright, and now because I broke Mai and also the fact that I already had um, the recollection, which speed up Cosmo, sorry, not Cosmo, speed up ultimate gaining. I already have my ultimate ready on my Gojo. Now, if you didn't have this recollection to actually speed up your ultimate skill gauge, then you would need one more turn before you're able to use it. So you basically just need to survive for one extra turn if you don't have that recollection. But in my case, because I already had it, so I just used it, and therefore I have used my combo attack with my ultimate skill from Kaito and also Gojo together. And this is going to be a really strong one, and hopefully it will be able to do a lot of damage to the enemies. Let's see how much it did. I actually done the stage quite a while ago, so I forgot. So you mentioned broke Mekamoru, which is nice. Miwa, not yet. I think because she was under the counter attack stage, she might have like some defense buff, etc. But you can see Mekamoru was almost dead, and because he's broken, you won't need to worry about him much anyway. However, Miwa is about to use her ultimate skill, so you definitely want to take her out. Now the thing is, like I said, Miwa does have this additional effect, which is counter-attacking any melee attack. So you do want to pay attention on the type of attack you have. So for example, Kaito, well, I'm checking out Gojo right now. If you actually hold and long click the skill that you want to use, then you will be able to see the description. And you can see here, Gojo, it says it's a range attack. So his first skill is a range attack. Whereas for Kaito, if you hold it, it will say it's actually a melee attack. And that's kind of why I decided for Kaito to attack on Nakamura to make sure Miwa wouldn't counter that, because my Kaito, I wasn't actually sure whether Kaito would be able to survive and counter that. So that's kind of why I went for the safer option of hitting Nakamura instead. And for Gojo, I will just be trying to kill Miwa off with his single attack, his normal attack, which is actually a range attack, so free from any counter attack, etc. And I managed to kill her straight away anyway.